Welcome back to Neko Nation Japan. This is Jeremy coming right at you. Today we're going to do something a little bit fun. I want to do just some fun things that happen in the Japanese business environment. First off, in a Japanese business environment, there's a few things that you say in a regular, but it has kind of a strange meaning. The Ohayo gozaimasu, or it means good morning in standard Japanese. But in the business environment, you would say this at any time you see them. So the first time you see them today, you'd be Ohayo gozaimasu. It could be, right at the beginning of the day, Ohayo gozaimasu, and they Ohayo gozaimasu back. It could be very late in the day. I did some late shifts, and the people would say Ohayo gozaimasu or good morning, and it was 7 or 8 at night. It's kind of a weird thing, but little strange and everything. Getting a little weirder, when you go to leave, you say "Otsukare-sama desu." When you're going to leave, you want to say to your Japanese coworker, "Otsukare-sama desu," and you say goodbye basically, and you're apologizing for leaving. It means a couple of different things. It means, one, you kind of thanking them for the hard work, and you're apologizing for leaving before them. In a lot of Japanese business culture, it's very akin to, I'm sorry for leaving before you were leaving. And if you're leaving before the boss, there's something wrong, I guess. It's basically, you shouldn't be leaving before the boss leaves. I work at an English teaching school, part-time and that kind of thing. So it's a little different because you're only there for a certain amount of time, but you're not supposed to leave before the boss. Kind of how the Japanese do. Number 2 out of the 5 things we're going to discuss today is the amount of paperwork is ridiculous. So much paperwork you do throughout just the day in general, just stamping and writing your name whenever you sign up for anything or have to do anything to do with the government. It's completely ridiculous the amount of paperwork you'd have to do. A lot of it is you need to sign, or you need your hunko, which is your signature stamp. Some of them you have this super registered one that if you lose, it's so ridiculously difficult to replace it or get another one. Or you have a just general one that just your last name and you stamp things. And a lot of paperwork, you got to stamp it multiple times, sign it in multiple places, all kinds of stuff like that. And the amount, they use a fax machine. They still use a fax machine because there's so much paperwork. You send over like the direct copies, if you will, of it, and they have to sign it and you fax it back. It's kind of ridiculous the amount of paperwork they do in Japan. Number 3 is a very interesting one because it's done by PowerPoint. In Japan, it's their particular culture is not a debating back and forth culture. They don't do that. When you need to present a topic or present it, they use PowerPoint. They use PowerPoint for pretty much anything they wish to discuss or go over. So they'll put all of their ideas down into PowerPoint and they lay out the facts for this situation or the particular case they're trying to make. They don't go back and forth and kind of argue and try to debate the topic. They just present all the facts, lay it out, and then try to get you to come to that eventual conclusion by overwhelming you with these particular facts relating to whatever the case may be. It's very different from here in America. Well, it's very different from when I was in America. You want to openly debate something. You talk about it and you say, this is my stance, this is your stance. What can we do to get find this middle common ground, or which one are we going to go with? Where in Japan, it's more kind of get your point across. You put everything out in your PowerPoint presentation. You want to do it so you're not labeled overly assertive. It's very common in Japan where if you are American, you're trying to get there, you're going to get your point across. So you tell them, you talk to them over and over again. Say, this is my point, do it now. This is the way I like to do it. And you're going to be labeled very assertive and aggressive in that particular environment. In Japan, they like to show rather than tell. So it's less of a verbal debating. You need to be able to write down clearly and write everything out and frame your argument in either PowerPoint or written format. As I've stated before, written formats aren't my bread and butter, but I'm getting better at my PowerPoint presentations and my just presentation skills. This is a little contrast definitely to what we do in America. You're set up to give your PowerPoint or your presentation, you get your debate clubs and this kind of thing. Where in Japan, it's completely different from that. It's kind of this culture where you present the facts and you're supposed to come up, try to convey to your persuasion. In Japan, you like to present your facts and then just have it come to their own conclusions. Hopefully that's including your ideas in this overall debate argument. Another key aspect of this, especially if you're an American coming into a Japanese business company, they're not going to feel as confident in English to sit there and talk and debate with you. So a lot of the time they feel defensive. It's kind of difficult for them to understand and grasp everything in the audio linguistics portion, shall we say. So they want to go down and just write everything down, be able to read it. They're pretty good in Japanese culture, especially in business. They're pretty good at reading and writing in English. Talking and understanding, not as much, but they're not too bad at reading and writing, and they could sit down there and read through or read off PowerPoint presentations and that kind of thing. It's been a very interesting kind of difference in the particular culture. It's pretty interesting. PowerPoint kind of leads into our number 4, just interesting fun fact. Everything is about saving face. You do not want to challenge your particular superior in any type of open environment. So if you're in a meeting or something, you do not challenge your superior. Say, oh, okay, yeah, that's it. And then you may be able to go talk to them afterwards saying, this is how it is. It slows the process down. I'm not saying there's better or worse. It's kind of a little difficult because it's a completely different culture and environment that kind of supports this kind of thing. They usually have on Fridays, you go out and you drink and you talk with all your company fellows, and this kind of relaxed atmosphere is where you can bring up all these kind of strange things that you want to say, but with a little alcohol, you actually have the courage to say it, kind of thing. And I don't particularly take part in this. I'm in an English environment, so teaching English, I don't get as much into that, going out drinking anyways. Tactics for saving face are primarily, you want to go in public, you do not want to disgrace anybody, you do not want to undermine them or make them seem less so they lose face or you lose face because of this argument. A lot of the times if you're arguing with somebody, you both end up losing face in an open style and format. Where in America, it's just customary. That's just what you do. You talk to somebody, you hash things out, kind of thing, which I am definitely in that camp. But I could kind of understand where the Japanese are coming from in this. It's a little difficult and a little different. So they really see this disagreeing in public cause you to lose face, and you lose honor, you lose respect among other your coworkers or whoever you're talking with. But if you're agreeing with them and you're congratulating them and say, oh, you did a great job in it, you're kind of what's called giving face. So you give them a compliment, you're kind of giving them your praise and admiration, says, oh, okay, this is how it is, that's good. And then they go through and kind of build up and build up. Whether that's the best for business, I don't really know. It's obviously dependent on the company and what the culture around that company is. I have looked into a lot of different, and I really like candor. So this is how it is. This is what we need to do. This is what we have. But that's not how they do it. Really, that saving face is kind of what they try to do. In Japan, losing face is basically, you don't want to do that. You don't want to lose face. You don't want to cause somebody else to lose face. You don't disagree in public. And if you want to be gain face or be given face, you need to treat these particular customers or your like VIPs. So you treat them to the best. You give them the best treatment. Say, oh yes, I'll get you tea, I'll get you water, whatever you want, we can get it. That's way of giving face. And then not arguing in public is the way of keeping face. It's kind of a strange thing. I'm definitely not accustomed to it. I am the most direct individual, I would say, that I know. I would say, okay, this is what it is. I try to, spare people's feelings and all that, but this is what happened. This is what needs to be done. I think we should do this. And may not be the best in all situations, but it's okay. All right, last number 5. Japan is the most passive-aggressive country I think I've ever seen. It's really a culture of you need to read between the lines. So they ask you to do something. Oh, we really need, please, could you think about staying on this time? And they want you to do something, but they don't go out and say exactly what they want you to do. They expect you to pick up, read in between the lines. Example, they had a few times I've watched and try to read as much as possible. A good example of this is a father told his daughter, could you go get my ashtray? And when the daughter came with the ashtray, he was mad because he wanted to smoke. So what did he need? The ashtray, the cigarettes, and his lighter. So he was trying to teach her to read between the lines and get all the other accoutrements that he would need to smoke a cigarette, which I think is disgusting. But it's a great underlying point where you may be asked to do one thing, but you also got to do everything else that supports that one thing in order to get everything done that you need to. In this new business environment, it could be very difficult. That's why I still like the direct method, just saying, okay, we need to do this. This is what needs to get done. Now, you should give them freedom of how they're going to do it, but this needs to get done, and this is the way I would do it. But if you got a better way, please come up with it yourself, kind of thing. The passive-aggressive behavior is a way of kind of expressing your negative feelings towards somebody or something, but not openly addressing it and saying it. I completely disagree with it, but it is completely part of a Japanese culture. And that's what they do. They have some negative thing. They kind of dance around to try to figure out ways to deal with it, but not directly addressing the problem, which I'm very curious to whether that has been part to their not doing as well in the global economy. They're doing pretty good, but Japan could be doing better, kind of thing. All right. With that, this has been Jeremy. Thank you for watching this little fun video from Neko Nation Japan. With that, sayonara.